First at 4, a discussion is held with SOAR and health officials on how Appalachia is handling COVID-19. And some first responders are helping deliver meals to students in Letcher County during the pandemic.
And gloomy conditions continue tonight and a little bit into tomorrow as well. First at 4 is next.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News First at 4.
Good afternoon, I'm Steve Hensley. First at 4, as states and portions of Kentucky's economy begin to open back up, officials are looking at Kentucky's response and how COVID-19 has impacted the Commonwealth. Today, Shaping Our Appalachian Region Executive Director Jared Arnett and medical professionals met virtually to discuss how Appalachia has reacted to the pandemic. WYMT's Will Puckett watched the meeting and joins us now live from his house with more. Will?
Margo Riggs with the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and Scott Lockard, Public Health Director at the Kentucky River District Health Department. The three had a discussion about how Eastern Kentucky and really Appalachia is reacting to the coronavirus. They cited our natural social distancing measures, the mountains, as a way that has positively impacted our numbers. Dr. Riggs even pointed out that by taking drastic measures like we have, our peak may have already been seen.
And it shows that really big peak. That was occurring in, late March, early April. This is the nation. In Kentucky, our peak was a little bit behind that in early April, our overall Kentucky peak. And then us in Appalachia, we peaked maybe a week or so after. We probably were at our peak about last week or so. That's when we really saw the largest number of cases in any one day.
All right, we're having some audio trouble there with Will. Well, as Kentucky moves toward reopening, business leaders and health experts say it is important we take plenty of precautions while doing so. Experts say it's important that the public does their part in trying to keep everyone safe. Victor Puente has more.
Next Monday will be the beginning of Kentucky's phased-in reopening, with manufacturing and construction resuming across the state. The president of the Kentucky Chamber of Commerce says they've worked with the governor's office to come up with requirements for those industries as work resumes.
I think most businesses and employees know that the new normal is going to look very different. And so we're going to be using masks, we're going to have temperature checks and all the things the governor has talked about.
Health experts believe the number of cases in America will continue to rise, which is why it's so important the public helps limit the spread of the virus as those businesses open up.
The social distancing, the hand washing, the sterilization, the masks, all of those things add just a little bit. And with adding a little bit in totality, they're going to make a big difference in terms of that curve.
So far, there hasn't been any serious strain put on Kentucky's healthcare system. Overflow hospitals have gone unused. Still, Stanton says there's no doubt more people will die of COVID. The goal is to keep that number as low as possible.
We have to reach that fine balance of opening and getting people back to work and getting as close as we can to living a normal life, but without putting undue stress on people's health and safety.
And so I think it's not too soon at all. I think we have had time to kind of get prepared and make sure that we have the supplies needed to make sure that everyone is safe.
In Lexington, Victor Puente, WYMT Mountain News.
What said another big issue for businesses to open back up is daycares being closed. She says they've been discussing workplaces providing childcare because that limits the contact for those children to the people in that business. At least 43 states have partially reopened their economies, even as the confirmed number of coronavirus cases in the U.S. continues to climb. Experts say the opening up of America has led to increased death toll projections. Less than a week ago, researchers from the University of Washington predicted 72,000 Americans would die by August 4th. Well, we're over 70,000 today, and now they warn that that number could rise to 134,000 if strict measures like social distancing are eased.
This rise of mobility in the last week or 10 days is likely leading to some increased transmission.
New York City officials also issued a health alert about a rare inflammatory syndrome affecting children that may be tied to COVID-19. Health officials say symptoms include persistent fever, rash, abdominal pain, and vomiting. The need to deliver meals to those with no transportation is high, but doing so while staying safe and helping stop the spread of COVID-19 may bring up health concerns. With those things in mind, Letcher County Schools decided to do pickup meals only. WYMT's Lacey Roberts spoke with some first responders who stepped in to help.
This is the new norm to feed children since in-person classes are canceled until the end of the school year.
This is the first time we've ever had the experience of making all the meals to go out.
189 meals are delivered.
Every day, Monday through Friday. That's Sand Lake Fire Department, Gordon Fire Department, and Kings Creek.
But you may be wondering why the fire department. The superintendent tells us delivery by bus was halted for safety reasons, and they were not laid off.
So we started doing it.
So they get a tray of good hot food.
Tuesday's menu, turkey and gravy, mashed potatoes, green beans, and carrots.
Then they get a bag with breakfast and condiments and fruits in it.
Loading their cars and trucks.
To help the community. That's what we're here for.
And to see.
Smiles. And that just makes your heart feel so good.
Volunteering their own time, money, and miles.
212 miles a week is what I'm putting on this trip.
Expenses for gas coming out of pocket and from some donations.
We do a lot of things that we have to do because, for our community, if you need it, we're going to help you.
No matter how big or small. In Letcher County, Lacey Roberts, WYMT Mountain News.
Deliveries and pickup will end on May 15th.
Well, we started out the day very gloomy and very stormy. Yes, those woke me up this morning as well. We've seen some isolated flooding issues across the mountains as well. We're going to take you up, though, to satellite and radar where you can see that heavy rain that followed down into the Cumberland Valley earlier. We're seeing most of the rain, though, start to get out of here. We'll hang on to a few scattered rain chances heading into tonight. Pinpoint Doppler, possibly just seeing some light showers and maybe a heavier shower just now starting to move into parts of Harlan and Harlan County. But kind of that light drizzle out there. We will start to dry out a little bit. However, like I said, we are going to hang on to those scattered rain chances. We do still have that aerial flood warning in effect that includes parts of Pulaski, Rockcastle, almost all of Laurel County, parts of Knox, and Clay County. That goes until 5 o'clock. That has been extended. It was supposed to expire at 3:30, and we are still getting lots of pictures of some smaller roadways that have been flooded over due to the storms that we saw last night. Now, here are those 24-hour rainfall totals. Some of us saw inch and a half to 3 inches, almost 3 inches over into Somerset, but most of us kind of just saw about a half an inch to an inch of rain. Like I said, this was kind of very isolated as we saw the flash flooding really early this morning. You can see Black Mountain got up to 1.5 inches. Somerset, really though, that hot spot. I know some areas over in Laurel County got close to 3 inches as well. Now for tonight, we'll hang on to a few showers. Temperatures look to drop into the lower 40s. Those gloomy skies do continue heading into tomorrow, but we do have sunshine on the way in the next couple of days. We'll have the rest of that forecast coming up a little bit.
All right, Paige, thank you. Police in the western part of the state are looking for a suspect in a shooting that left one dead and another injured. It happened in Bowling Green last night. Police say the suspect shot a man and a woman. The man was taken to a local hospital, then flown to a trauma center in Nashville where he died. The woman remains hospitalized. Police are still looking for a suspect. A Michigan store security guard was reportedly murdered Friday after he tried to enforce a state-mandated face mask policy. Investigators believe 43-year-old Calvin Munnerlin was shot in the head after he told shopper Charmel Teague that her daughter had to wear a mask before entering the store. Prosecutors issued 2 warrants against the men involved. Teague is currently under arrest. The community is now remembering the life of Munnerlin.
When I found out what had happened to him, it really broke my heart because I know what kind of person he was.
All 3 suspects are facing a charge of premeditated murder, which carries a mandatory sentence of life in prison with no chance of parole if they are convicted. Another death row inmate in Tennessee is seeking a delay in his execution date this year due to the threat of the coronavirus pandemic. Attorneys for Harold Nicholas last week asked the Tennessee Supreme Court to reschedule his August 4th execution. The filing argues the COVID-19 health crisis creates a dangerous environment for carrying out an execution and prevents necessary work and preparation to apply for clemency. The state Supreme Court previously delayed one inmate's execution from June to February due to the coronavirus. Attorney General William Barr made a last-minute push yesterday to persuade the Trump administration to change its position in the Obamacare dispute. Arguments will be heard at the U.S. Supreme Court this fall. Barr is arguing the administration should pull back from its insistence the entire Affordable Care Act be struck down. The administration contends the individual insurance requirement is unconstitutional, and because the mandate is tied to other provisions of the law, the entire law must fall. Barr argued for changing the stance to preserve parts of the law. Venezuela's president says 2 Americans were apprehended after a failed coup attempt launched this past weekend. He said the men were playing, quote, Rambo and heroes in a failed plot to unseat him. A still picture showed 2 men who he claimed were the Americans. The Washington Post spoke to the head of the security company Silvercorp, who said the men were part of Operation Gideon, meant to infiltrate Venezuela.
As people stay at home, they miss talking to their family members and friends, but what about strangers? I'm Nancy Chen on a new app connecting folks from around the world with a phone call.
And gloomy conditions continue, but for how long? I'll have that answer coming up.